Hey everyone, welcome back to round number one. I've been away for a while, but I'm back and here to talk about current wrestling news and some late news I want to address personally. Before I start, I want to freestyle a little bit. This weekend is Mother's Day. This Sunday is Mother's Day. On Saturday, I'll be spending some time with my mom. I just want to get the word out. If your mom is still around, spend some time with her. If you are on bad terms with your mom, try to use this weekend to talk to her, mend some fences if you can. You only have one mother, and the cost of showing your appreciation for Mother's Day costs little, next to nothing. It could be something as simple as just phoning your mother, wishing her happy Mother's Day, buying her some donuts, buying her a bucket of KFC, buying her a gift, taking her out to a movie. So my advice, my hope for this weekend is for all you that have mothers out there that are still around, spend some time for your mothers. And if your mother's not around, the best thing you can do, in my opinion, if you have any sisters, if you have a grandma, if you have an aunt, genetically those are the closest to your mother. So my suggestion would be to call them up or visit them, spend some time with them. I'd like to wish everybody a happy Mother's Day for this weekend. Okay, so let's get into today's topic. I want to talk about these WWE talent releases. So last Friday, that we were notified by various publications such as Fightful, Wrestling Observer, that from the main roster of the WWE, Braun Strowman, Shayna Baszler, Dakota Kai, Kaden Carter, Katana Chance were released from the company. At the same time, NXT stars Cora, Jade, Jakara Jackson, Riley Osborne, Javier Bernal, Ora Mensa, Gigi Dolin, Eddie Thorpe, and Gladys. This is a tag team from NXT UK that seemingly never made it to the main roster. These people were cut from the roster. The main roster departures will have a 90-day no complete cause, while those from NXT will have 30 days. Shotzi's contract is also up soon, and she was informed that WWE will not be extending it. So as of now, you won't see her on TV. I believe her last appearance was like a taped match for WWE Speed. That should be uploading tomorrow, I think, on Twitter. So it was not in Shotzi's case, it wasn't specified when her deal will expire, but WWE will not be extending it and will not be using her on TV going forward. Now, what I'm about to say might be underwhelming, but I won't talk about each individual during this upload. I'm just gonna focus on two individuals. Now, as much as we think we're insiders, we don't work within the WWE, so we don't know why the WWE has released this large amount of talent. There could be many reasons, but wrestling journalists are saying it's due to budget cuts, even though it seems silly that WWE may need to reduce costs, especially considering their profits appear stable. Just a few weeks ago, WrestleMania 41 at Allegiant Stadium shattered records for gate, viewership, merchandise sales, sponsorship, and social media engagement. A staggering 124,693 fans across 2 nights at Allegiant Stadium was announced, highlighting the event's massive draw. While I don't think the official gate was released, what we do know is that WrestleMania 41 contributed approximately $250 million to the local economy. It's also worth noting that they received a $5 million grant as part of a set of incentives from the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority in exchange for bringing WrestleMania to the city. Additionally, WWE was granted rent-free use of the Las Vegas Convention Center West Hall, where WWE The World took place during WrestleMania weekend. And most likely, the Fontainebleau Las Vegas covered some of WWE's hosting fees for events held there, but I can't officially confirm that. Now, given this context, the reasoning behind the recent talent releases becomes even more puzzling. To state the obvious, the business decisions made behind the scenes don't always align with what fans expect. I've privately shared with colleagues that it's sad to see Cora Jade get released, as I believe she was meeting expectations within WWE. It's disappointing that she was never called up to the main roster or receive a year's worth of main roster pay, which I've heard has risen above $250,000 yearly as a starting base. I've also noticed that Cora Jade was omitted when Roxanne was called to reappear on Monday Night Raw. I found it strange that Roxanne was promoted to the main roster and paired with another NXT call-up, Julia. The characters of Julia and Roxanne still don't align well, especially since Julia has been a longtime babyface in a long-time feud with the heel Roxanne. Now that Julia has turned heel, she is suddenly positioned as Roxanne's ally. To me, WWE believed that Cora Jade wasn't a better fit for their needs, which is why Julia turned heel and is now on the main roster alongside Roxanne. Another person I want to share my thoughts on is Gigi Dolin. I'm really impressed with how WWE has revamped her character, especially since I found her previous persona, Priscilla Kelly, quite off-putting. I generally hope she doesn't return to that old character on the independent circuit. I believe TNA would be an ideal fit for her and Cora Jade. I also told my colleagues privately that former relationships, contract negotiations, injuries, or health issues could complicate these talent releases. So fans and insiders will be speculating for the next 30 to 90 days about when these talents can discuss their options at length. One has to wonder what the future holds for the released talent. Interestingly, we live in a time where former talent has a better path back into the WWE plans. Only time will reveal if I'm right. But WWE has been making business decisions that will significantly impact the wrestling industry. Let's talk about how WWE ID can create better opportunities for former talent looking to return to WWE. The WWE ID Championship are open to all independent wrestlers. A non-WWE ID prospect could be awarded a WWE ID contract if they win a title. So a former WWE talent could grind on the indies and find themselves in a match against the WWE ID Women's Champion or Men's Champion. And if they win, the WWE ID Championship, it could provide them a path back to the WWE. Now let's talk about TNA Wrestling. As I have mentioned numerous times here in round number 1, WWE and TNA Wrestling are now in a partnership that is going pretty well. WWE hasn't been overly imposing on the TNA roster, allowing TNA to focus on their talent and storylines. Those few TNA wrestlers who have had the opportunity to compete alongside the NXT superstars have benefited from this collaboration. One of the most interesting developments is that certain TNA wrestlers have been branded honorary WWE superstars. Moose and Joe Henry are two of the most popular TNA wrestlers who have received this recognition, even though they're not officially signed to the WWE. Jordan Grace, before her full-time signing with WWE, definitely had that WWE glow as a homegrown TNA talent as well. Indi Hartwell made her in-ring debut for the promotion TNA since being released by WWE in November 2024. Indi herself is a former NXT champion, believe it or not, and her success in TNA could see her appearing on NXT, and a path back to the WWE full-time could happen after her TNA contract expires. Li Ling Lee, who was also known as Xia Li, also in TNA Wrestling, but she has a higher hill to climb. The WWE didn't invest in Xia Li to become a WWE champion as they did Indi, but Xia has the same chances at appearing at NXT as Indi, depending on her success in TNA Wrestling. To be honest, any former WWE superstar has a good chance of appearing in NXT, especially based on their success in TNA. For those curious about when TNA and NXT might fully converge for co-branded premium live events, I believe it could happen sooner than expected, depending on how the released WWE superstars approach the situation. As the landscape of professional wrestling continues to evolve, it will be fascinating to observe how these dynamics play out for both former WWE talents and rising stars within promotions like TNA. The paths back to WWE are becoming less intricate, yet filled with potential for those willing to work. The future certainly holds exciting possibilities, whether through the innovative WWE ID Championship route or collaborative efforts between WWE and TNA. So let's shift gears to discuss the next story unfolding in this expanding WWE universe. I'll discuss more about the WWE releases in a few minutes. There have been rumors that WWE is also hunting to acquire other wrestling promotions worldwide. I never allowed myself to talk about it on here, but we now know that WWE acquired AAA, a Mexican lucha libre promotion. Now, let me give you a brief history of AAA and another brief history of AAA and WWE in the late 90s. Now, as for the promotion AAA, it was founded in 1992 by Antonio Pena, who ended his ties with CMLL after becoming frustrated with CMLL owner Paco Alonso's preference for Jean Herrera as the booker. Pena took Conan. This is the same Conan K-Dog, same Conan in LAX, same Conan in TNA, WCW, same Conan as everybody usually knows. Conan, a former world champion and a CMLL headliner. Pena took him out of CMLL to create AAA. Together, they created AAA as a direct rival to their former employer. Pena secured a deal with Televista, which agreed to finance and broadcast AAA on their network in exchange for owning the rights to the AAA name. So, from then, Pena brought in CMLL talent who preferred his creative style over Herrera's, and the company saw great success. Now, in 1994, AAA and WCW joined forces to create a pay-per-view called When Worlds Collide in the United States. When, fast forward to now, when the WWF purchased WCW in 2001, they also acquired the rights to this event. And as we know, in 2025, the WWE, previously known as WWF, now owns AAA. Now, at its inception, AAA focused on traditional lucha libre. During the pre-show of WrestleMania 41, Triple H announced WWE's acquisition of AAA and stated that their goal is to help grow and expand lucha libre while preserving its traditional style. He believes that AAA provides a pathway for lucha libre talent to reach their full potential within the lucha libre world and beyond. Triple H plans to introduce a NIL program alongside developing a comprehensive strategy to enhance lucha libre within AAA and globally. Now, moving forward, the relationship between Pena and Conan soured when Conan began working with WCW. He assisted Eric Bischoff in recruiting lucha libre stars, which caused Pena to realize that these talents favored WCW due to their much higher pay. Approximately, WCW was paying these talents $2,000 per night compared to AAA paying them $140 to $280 per match. Additionally, Conan began to alienate the locker room by shifting away from traditional lucha libre wrestling in favor of a style reminiscent to ECW and FMW, Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling. This is a promotion in Japan. And this angered many longtime wrestlers in AAA. Pena ultimately took the lucrative Tijuana territory away from Conan, leading Conan to leave AAA in October 1996 to form his own promotion. It's an offshoot called Promo Azteca. Now, although AAA struggled in 1996, the WWE reached out to Pena with a business proposal. Jake the Snake Roberts, who was on the creative team at the WWF at the time, had a pre-existing relationship with Pena, and Vince McMahon used Jake the Snake Roberts to broker the deal. Now, Vince McMahon wanted to host the 1997 Royal Rumble at the Alamodome in San Antonio, Texas, which is Shawn Michaels' hometown. The aim was to rebuild Michaels and position him as the top babyface WWF champion. And in Vince's mind, there was nowhere better than to do it in Shawn Michaels' hometown. However, the Alamodome had a seating capacity of like 75,000, and people within the WWF were skeptical whether the WWF could fill stadiums in the 90s compared to what they did in the 80s. So to help attract a larger audience, McMahon sought to partner with AAA, recognizing that San Antonio has a significant Hispanic community. But unknown to McMahon, AAA had previously attempted to host a show in San Antonio, but had to cancel it due to low ticket sales. So Pena was eager to sign a deal with WWE, believing that the mainstream exposure and the association with WWE would benefit AAA, which was facing challenges at the time. So, to strengthen his pitch, Pena informed Jake Roberts that many former AAA wrestlers working for WCW and Promo Azteca, their contracts were still legally binding to AAA. Pena claimed that these wrestlers would be willing to jump to the WWF if given the opportunity. Pena mentioned notable wrestlers such as Rey Mysterio Jr., Psychosis, and Juventud Guerrera, emphasizing that their departures would devastate WCW's cruiserweight division. So when McMahon received this information from Roberts, he was thrilled and immediately signed the deal. The proposal included allowing AAA wrestlers to participate in the 1997 Royal Rumble broadcast, and Vince allowed them to run two dark matches. Dark matches are non-televised bouts for the live audience, and also Vince allowed them to be showcased on the Free For All show. So the live audience in the San Antonio area, Royal Rumble 1997 came off as like a co-promoted event between WWE and AAA. Now, in return, AAA would help draw an audience for the WWE. However, what did I say Penta? Sorry, I got confused. Pena misrepresented the fidelity of these contracts. So, to give you a backstory, in 1995, Televista sold the name rights of AAA back to Pena to help the company survive during the Mexican peso crisis. Pena established a new holding company. In short form, it's called PASPA, which would be, I don't speak Spanish, but I believe in long form in Spanish it would be something like Antonio Pena Productions. So Pena opened up a new holding company and continued promoting AAA events. But the problem was that since AAA ceased to exist, pre Pena opening up a new holding company, the contracts that he held for wrestlers that are wrestling in WCW and Promo Azteca were considered invalid. So when Eric Bischoff heard about WWE brokering this deal with AAA, and also the also feared that the WWE could acquire the Mexican talent that were featured regularly on WCW television. Like, he was furious about this. And in response, Eric Bischoff pressured every Mexican wrestler on the WCW roster to sign contracts with WCW to prevent Vince McMahon from accessing these talents until their WCW contracts expired. So another thing to note, when McMahon signed the deal with Pena, McMahon had further ambitions. He aimed to sell out the Alamo Dome and gain access to the Mexican crew of WCW for the WWF. He also envisioned a joint venture with Pena to learn about the Mexican market, eventually establishing WWE to host events in Mexico independently. So, with determined efforts, including reducing ticket prices and distributing over 12,000 complimentary tickets, the 1997 Royal Rumble attracted 60,525 spectators. 48,014 of those were paid, resulting in a gate of $480,013. So, adjusted to inflation, the amount is approximately $956,434.13 in 2025. So, it was reported that McMahon wasn't impressed with what he received from Penya's promotion and chose to opt out of the deal shortly after the event. I've never watched the 1997 Royal Rumble, but according to um, user accounts suggest that the AAA roster featured on the card did not make a significant impact. They were considered less exciting than the WCW Mexican crew, as they wrestled a more ground based style, unlike the innovative WCW cruiserweights. So that ends the brief history of AAA and WWF in the late '90s. Um, as for present times, the WWE acquisition of AAA has not been finalized yet, but it's expected to be completed in the third quarter of 2025. Dorian Roldan Pena will manage AAA along with Triple H and Shawn Michaels. Triple H and Shawn Michaels will play a role in the promotion's creative and operational aspects. Conan is expected to be involved in the booking of AAA under this new ownership. Additionally, the Pena family is anticipated to remain involved in the business. So, if you're like me and were not impressed with this new character named El Grande Americano, you might understand now why this character was created and will continue to be featured on WWE programming and eventually AAA programming. Now, I'll have more to talk about on AAA, including Alberto Del Rio being offered a WWE contract. If that it was true or not true, we'll talk about it this weekend, but not today. Um, Now, regarding the WWE, the company is actively looking to acquire other wrestling promotions worldwide, and I think we can expect to hear news about WWE gaining a company in Japan and another promotion in America very soon. Now, returning to the WWE releases from this past Friday, I'm just gonna say something. I'm just gonna say a little bit more about it. I'll have more to say this weekend on round number one, so stay tuned. But before I end, I just want to share a quote from Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer. Dave Meltzer said on his X account on, I think it was Saturday evening, he said this, and I quote, "Many of those cut were perceived as not working hard in training. If you don't work hard in training, plenty of others do. At this point, if the feeling is that you're not working hard, those who were perceived as lazy will be let go, along with those who don't stand out." This is not Meltzer's opinion. This, according to Meltzer, is what he heard from his sources within the WWE. This was the information relied to Meltzer to tell the people about regarding these WWE talent releases. Now, obviously, some wrestlers took offense to this. Uh, One being Cora Jade, the other being Gigi Dolin. Cora Jade said, and I quote, "I can't forget having to go to my own gym outside of work after strength and conditioning, which wasn't doing anything for me other than getting me body shamed about by my bosses, coworkers, and fans. Crazy." Cora also mentioned that she had to drop out of high school at 15 to pursue a wrestling career. While that was a scary experience for her, she's glad she did it, seeing as it provided a new beginning for her rather than an end. So it sounds like Cora Jade faced a challenging childhood that few knew about. She likely did not have supportive parents or possibly even parents um, to look after her. She goes on to say that, actually, sorry about that. So, personally, actually, I shouldn't say personally, from what I heard about Cora Jade, what I know about her personally is that she fell in love and had relationships with two wrestlers whose names I will refrain from mentioning, but you probably know who one of them is. He's on the Raw roster in a group with Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman. But both of them left her for other women in the business. She also struggled with knee problems, which added to her challenges. I want to say that's probably the reason why she got released. Like, I remember she had that match on NXT a couple weeks ago against Jordan Grace, and some mishap happened, and the match had to end abruptly. That match was probably put into consideration by her bosses. Cora Jade blew out both of her knees. So. Probably her injury status, her problems with her knee probably was brought into consideration of her being released, probably a major factor. Some people believe it was wrong for Cora and Gigi to respond to. I don't even actually have Gigi's quote. I thought I had Gigi's quote, but I didn't write it down, so sorry about that. So some people believe it was wrong for Cora and Gigi to respond publicly to Meltzer's report. However, I think it's crucial to understand that, their voices deserve to be heard and validated rather than reduced to unfair stereotypes. Cora and Gigi have the right to share their perspectives and experiences, especially in response to reports that may misrepresent them. So I'm sure during this week we'll hear more respectful dialogue from released superstars to the WWE, and we'll also hear some more unfair or probably fair stereotypes placed on released superstars. I don't know. We'll see. Now, in other brief news, something brief I want to mention before I end this episode. Mari Gold announced that 1,210 people attended Sunday's show at Korakuen Hall, featuring the debut of Mayu Iwatani. She went up against Nane Takahashi. This attendance marks the third highest in Korakuen Hall's history. Third highest in Korakuen Hall's history. Is that true? Probably Korakuen Hall's history in terms of Joshi promotions. I'm gonna have to look into that. I don't know if that's a true quote. Maybe the third highest in Marigold's time at Korakuen Hall. I know they did a few shows at Korakuen Hall last year. Anyways, I find it puzzling that Mayu Iwatani does not face criticism for one of her signature moves, the headbutt. Like, if this headbutt isn't considered a legitimate strike, Please let me know in the comments. It seems unusual to have a scripted match where no one intends to harm each other and then include a real headbutt in the mix. Okay, so that's it for today's episode of round number 1. I'll see you guys on the weekend. Take care.